The following is a list of questions that were directed to former Dulce-based security officer Thomas Edwin Castello approximately a year before his disappearance. They are followed by his responses. Question: when exactly was the Archuleta installation constructed? Answer: I heard Dulce was started in 1937 to 38 by the Army engineers. Enlarged over the years, most recent work was completed 1965 to 66 to connect tunnels to the Page, Arizona base, site of one of the older underground facilities. The Four Corners base is called Perica. Most of the Native Americans living in that area are aware of that base and could tell us about the underground life forms that frequently are spotted near those communities. Bigfoot, etc. Question: by what means was the installation constructed? Are you familiar with the alleged developments made by the Rand Corporation of a highly efficient bore or mole machine capable of melting rock using nuclear-powered wolfram graphite-tipped drill cones? Answer: according to several senior maintenance workers, part of it was blasted by nuclear devices in the 60s. There are sections, like the shuttle tunnels, that were formed by an advanced tunnel machine that leaves the tunnel walls smooth. The finished walls in those tubes resemble polished black glass. Question: by whom was the Dulce installation originally constructed? Answer: nature started the caverns. The Draco used the caverns and tunnels for centuries. Later, through Rand Corporation plans, it was enlarged repeatedly. The original caverns included ice caves and sulfur springs that the aliens found perfect for their needs. The Dulce caverns rival Carlsbad caverns in size. Question: are the various electromagnetically controlled air or spacecraft that have been seen leaving from and arriving at Mount Archuleta manned by humans, the alien entities, or both? Answer: Archuleta Mesa is a minor area. The craft leave and are stored in 5 areas. One is southeast of Dulce, one near Durango, Colorado, one at Taos, New Mexico, and the main fleet is stored at Los Alamos. Question: others have suggested that some of the entities below Dulce are not of extraterrestrial origin, and that they're actually descended from saurian or reptiloid beings such as the velociraptors or Stenonychosaurus equalis, a serpentine race or races similar to that hinted at in the 3rd chapter of the book of Genesis? Answer: yes, some reptoids are native to this planet. The ruling caste of aliens are reptilian. The beige or white beings are called the Draco. Other reptilian beings are green and some are brown. They were an ancient race on Earth living underground. It may have been one of the draconian beings that tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. Reptoids rightly consider themselves native Terrans. Perhaps they are the ones we call the fallen angels. Maybe not. Either way, we are considered the squatters on Earth. Question: where do the little gray aliens fit in? Answer: they work for and are controlled by the Draco. There are other gray-skinned beings that are not in league with the Draco. Question: did you ever talk to any of the aliens at the base? Answer: since I was the senior security technician at that base, I had to communicate with them on a daily basis. If there were any problems that involved security or video cameras, I was the one they called. It was the Reptilian working caste that usually did the physical labor in the lower levels at Dulce. Decisions involving that caste were usually made by the White Draco. When human workers caused problems for the working caste, the reptoids went to the White Draconian boss, and the Draco called me. At times, it felt like it was a never-ending problem. Several human workers represented the no-nonsense or get-back-to-work attitude the working caste lives by. When needed, intervention became a vital tool. The biggest problem were human workers who foolishly wandered around near the off-limits areas of the alien section. I guess it's human nature to be curious and to wonder what is past the barriers. Too often, someone found a way to bypass the barriers and nosed around. The cameras near the entrance usually stop them before they got themselves in serious trouble. A few times, I had to formally request the return of a human worker. Question: are there other sites tied into the shuttle network other than those which you mentioned, and if so, where are the entrances? Answer: where? Everywhere! They crisscross the world as an endless subterranean highway, like a freeway, except this one is underground. The subterranean highway in America is like a freeway, except it's underground. That highway depends on electric motors for the paved roads, and it is for limited travel. There is another style of transit for freight and for passengers that is for rapid travel. That worldwide network is called the subglobal system. It has checkpoints at each country entry. There are shuttle tubes that shoot the trains at incredible speeds using a maglev and vacuum method. They travel at a speed that excels the speed of sound. Part of your question involves the location of entrances to that base. The easiest way to answer is to say every state in the USA has them. Frequently, the entrances are camouflaged as sand quarries or mining operations. Other complex portals are found on military bases. New Mexico and Arizona have the largest amounts of entrances, followed by California, Montana, Idaho, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Kansas, Arkansas, and Missouri. Of all the states, Florida and North Dakota have the least amount of entrances. Wyoming has a road that opens directly into the subterranean freeway. That road is no longer in use but could be reactivated if they decided to do so with minimal cost. It's located near Brooks Lake. Question: are there any bases in the state of Utah? Have you heard anything about an alleged underground installation within the Wasatch Mountains? Answer: Salt Lake, Lake Powell area, Dark Canyon, Dugway Grounds, Modena, Vernal, all have exits there. Others too. Question: does the Mount Archuleta shuttle system connect with a shuttle system which allegedly radiates from Mount Shasta in Northern California? Answer: yes, Mount Shasta is a major site of alien, elder race, reptilian race, human meetings. Beginning Cleveland, Grover, every president in U.S. history have visited Talos City. Truman was supposed to have visited the lower realms as a high archon on Earth. He was supposed to have met the king of the world there and gave him the keys to the USA. Truman received assurance to new high-tech knowledge and victory over all enemies on Earth. He then was introduced to Samatsa and Koch, aliens from Boots and Typhon, both reptilian kings or ambassadors. Truman updated the 100 Treaty and requested magnetic advance, space knowledge, and experiments. Koch agreed. Samatsa partially agreed. He exchanged hostages for genetic experiments and magnetic advance, but vetoed space and beam weaponry. Question: did you notice any involvement of high-level Freemasons, Rosicrucians, or Jesuits within the underground installation and or with the aliens? Answer: yes, I did, but that is a loaded question, and I won't comment further. I'm not a Mason or a member of any other secret fraternal group. There is one organization I am a member of. That group is commonly called the Central Unit. It is a pleasure to tell you that I am a member of the Subgalactic League of Costa Rica. Question: is there any truth to the allegations that the CIA aliens have established bases on the moon and also Mars? Answer: I've heard that too, but I haven't seen proof with my own eyes. The aliens do allegedly have bases on several moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The CIA operates in other countries, but I've never heard they operate on other planets. Question: have you heard any hints or rumors suggesting that there may be lower levels beneath the Ultra 7 level of the Dulce base? And also, where these might lead to and what they might consist of? Answer: yes. Your guess is as good as mine. Sure, there was lots of talk, but that doesn't mean it's there. However, I will tell you I saw elevators that were off limits unless you had an Umbra or higher security clearance. At that base, information is supplied to me at a need-to-know basis only. My clearance was Ultra 7. Question. Some insist that the U.S. secret government has developed its own disk craft based largely upon top-secret anti-gravity experiments carried out by the Nazi German scientists during World War II. Have you heard anything referring to this? Answer. When I was working in photo security, heard a lot of talk. Never saw the proof. But once in the Air Force, I developed a roll of film that showed a craft like Adamski's with a swastika on the side. Question. Tom, did you have access to the alien craft? Were you ever inside any of them? Answer. Yes, I frequently saw them in the garages. There are quite a few of them. The main fleet is stored at Los Alamos. Yes, I entered several crafts. There were two things that stick out in my mind: the odd spongy feeling of the floors and the unusual pinkish-purple color of the lighting. The crew stated the floor becomes rigid in flight, and the purple tint of the lighting changes to bright blue-white. The entire inside of the aircraft are scaled down to size when compared to the average human. The halls were curved and narrow, but somehow, when inside, it appears bigger than it looks. Certain areas, the outermost sections, almost felt and looked alive. I was never taken up in one. Question. Can you give me more information on the Reptilian race? What do they do on the 6th level? Answer. The worker caste does the daily chores, mopping the latex floors, cleaning the cages, bringing food to the hungry people and other species. It is their job to formulate the proper mixture of the Type 1 and Type 2 beings that the Draco race has created. The working caste work at the labs as well as at the computer banks. Basically speaking, the reptilian races are active at all levels at the Dulce base. There are several different races of aliens that work on the east section of Level 6. That section is commonly called the Alien Section. The Draco are the undisputed masters of the 5, 6, 7 levels. The humans are second in command of those levels. I had to argue with one large draconian boss frequently. His name is difficult to verbalize. Fascist. I usually call him Karsh, and he hated it. The draconian leaders are very formal when talking to the human race. These ancient beings consider us a lower race. Karsh called me Leader Castello, but it was used in a sarcastical way. However, the worker caste is friendly enough as long as you allow them to speak first. They will answer if you address them. They are very cautious beings and consider most humans to be hostile. They always seem surprised when they found many of the humans were open and trustworthy. There is no fraternizing with the aliens off hours. It is forbidden to speak to any alien race without a clear business-oriented reason. Humans can talk to humans and aliens can speak to aliens, but that is as far as it goes. At the worksite, however, it's different. There is free speech in the labs. The camaraderie found in the labs also reaches the computer bank section. In those areas, everybody talks to anybody. However, everything changes the minute you cross the threshold of the hall. Instantly, all conversations become strictly formal. Hard as it was, several times I had to arrest someone simply because they spoke to an alien. It's a strange place. Question. Exactly what first made you aware that something was wrong at Dulce? Seems to me that a place as obviously horrible as this one wouldn't need an Einstein to know that this is a crime site. What took you so long? Are you the guy who blew the whistle? Answer. There are several things you should know about. I took an oath, under the penalty of death, that no matter what I saw or heard, I would never divulge the information. Also, I signed a waiver that states I would willingly give up my life if I was found guilty of treason. At the Dulce base, treason is anything that mentions the details of daily operations at this facility when outside the confinement of this base. When I first arrived, a need-to-know policy was in effect. The story the honchos told us was that this is a tri-biotransfer facility with advanced technology, doing advanced adventurous methodology for medical and mental gains, which is a fancy way of saying they do really risky things with human life just to see what would happen. If a medical cure happens, it will be heralded on the surface of the earth as a marvelous new cure, saying it was found after years of research at some well-known medical lab. The real story of the cure is never explained. After all, the Dulce base is a secret facility. These people are very good at what they do. They do not tell the truth about the unfortunate people that end up in Nightmare Hall. I worked with aliens. With that in mind, you should get the idea of the secrecy and the security at that place. Yes, I know this was not the usual hospital-type job site, but in the beginning, I bought the whole package. I was reminded daily by intercom, in the elevators, that this site does high-risk advanced medical and drug testing to cure insanity. Please never speak to the inmates. It can destroy years of work. I'm sensible. When doctors say don't speak to them, who was I to destroy the delicate situation? But one man somehow caught my eye. He repeatedly stated that he was George S., and that he had been kidnapped and he was sure someone was searching for him. I don't know why he sticks in my mind. I found I was remembering his face, thinking he sure didn't look or sound insane, but many inmates said that. The next weekend, I convinced a friend of mine, a cop, to run a check on the guy, saying I'd run in with him and was curious. I didn't mention the base at all. It was a sickening feeling when the computer confirmed that George S. was missing. What's worse, the cops thought he was just another guy that got tired of the daily grind and split. That was the beginning. Am I the one that blew the whistle? No. The next Monday, I searched for George, but he was gone. There were no records that explained what happened to him. It was another security officer that came to me saying he and some lab workers wanted an off-duty meeting at one of the tunnels. Curiosity took over, and I said okay. That night, about 9 men showed up. They said they knew they were risking me turning them in, but they wanted to show me some things they thought I should see. One by one, they showed records that proved many inmates were missing people. There were newspaper clippings and even photos that they had somehow smuggled into the base. They hoped to smuggle them back out without me turning them into head honchos. I could see the fear in their faces as they spoke. One man stated he would rather lose his life by trying than to lose his soul by not doing anything at all. It was that remark that turned the tide. I told him about George and the things I found out about him. After a few hours, we pledged to attempt to expose the Dulce base. Question. The name Nightmare Hall is descriptive, but surely there was a regular name. What was it called in the manuals? Answer. In the manuals, it was called the Vivarium. It describes Dulce base as a secured facility for tending bioforms of all types. In their report, it is retold as a private subterranean bioterminal park with accommodations for animals, fish, fowl, reptile, and mankind. After seeing this park, the name Nightmare Hall is far more accurate than the manual. The accommodations for the inmates at Nightmare Hall fall short of the pretty pictures the manual describes. Question. You mentioned one reptilian leader, Kaharshafashist. Do you know anything about him? Like, where is he from? Is he from Earth or some other planet? Answer. His name means keeper of the laws. They receive their name after they reach the age of awareness. They do not recognize time as an important factor in being aware the way humans do. Upon their age of awareness, they are cognitive of the station or position they are destined to fulfill. At that time, they chose or allow someone to choose their name. Their name will include the position they hold and several personally chosen letters. Each letter has a personal meaning, known only to the alien and the one that chose their name. Since Karsh's name means keeper of the laws, his name includes cache, memory or keep, base word for akashic record, and fascist, law, base word fast or bind. Reptilians choose to be not only private but secretive of the location of their natal place. To them, birth or emergence of life is considered as one of the sacred rites of life. They consider Earth, or Terra, their home planet. But several reptoids discuss several star maps. Most of those stars were within the Milky Way. Within those star maps lies the stars and planets of the allegiance, Earth being one of the planets in their trade routes. If any human asks clear questions about the allegiance, the aliens referred the questions to the Draco. The Draco in turn referred the questions to their supervisor, me. I did not have that information about the stars because information was supplied on a need-to-know basis. I didn't need that information. Question: did any of the workers' caste join in the revolt? Could you give me some names? Answer: a few of the Reptilian janitorial crew let us know that they knew we were attempting to sabotage the work going on in the 6th and 7th levels. One of them, with the name Shahal, secretly formed a small group of reptoids with the same mindset as my group. Shahal took upon himself the danger of informing me. He was as open as is possible in a unique situation. On the day I found out about it, I was inspecting a camera near an exit tunnel. He approached, stooped down, seemingly scraping some non-existent dirt, and he quietly said, "A few of us agreed that you are singular in your interest in missing human reports. If true, walk away. I'll reach you. If it's untrue, destroy my life now." My heart almost leaped out of my chest, but I silently walked toward one of the wide halls. For the rest of my life, I'll remember those words. It was the first time I knew reptilians could have individual thoughts and opinions. Basically, they formed a union front with a small variety of interests. Or at least, that was what we had thought. It was a couple days before I heard from him again. As he walked beside me in the 6th level's infamous hall, I heard him say, "Enter the exit tunnel on the 6th level north after your shift." The next few hours were long and filled with thoughts of betrayal, or worse, but I shouldn't have worried. I contacted one of the original 9 men and let him know, just in case. Gordon wanted to go with me, but I convinced him to wait a few feet from the exit and pretend he was having trouble with his cart. When I got there were 3 of them. Shal formally introduced Fathshah and Huamshah. Name base word is Shah, or assist. With that, I quickly grabbed Gordon from the hall, and the 5 of us talked and walked in the dark tunnels about 3 hours. After that day, the joined resistance group got bigger and bolder. Ultimately, it ended when a military assault was initiated via the exit tunnels, and they executed anybody on their list, human or reptilian. We fought back, but none of the working caste had weapons, nor did the human lab workers. Only the security force and a few computer workers had flash guns. It was a massacre. Everyone was screaming and running for cover. The halls and tunnels were filled as full as possible. We believe it was the Delta Force that chose to hit at shift change, an effort that killed as many as named on their list. We to this day do not know who betrayed us. Gordon Enery ran beside me as we ran into the 3rd level exit tunnels, and he died when several bullets slammed into his back. I vaporized that assassin and kept running, and I'm still running. Gordon will be remembered. Question: tell me more about the flash gun. Is it difficult to operate, or is it like the weapon on Star Trek that can stun or kill on different modes? Answer: it is an advanced beam weapon that can operate on 3 different phases. Phase 1, like Star Trek, can stun and maybe kill if the person has a weak heart. On Phase 2, it can levitate anything, no matter what it weighs. Phase 3 is the serious business mode. It can be used to paralyze anything that lives, animals, human, alien, and plant. On the higher position on the same mode, it can create a temporary death. I assure you, any doctor would certify that person is dead, but their life essence lingers in some strange limbo, some kind of terrible state of non-death. In 1 to 5 hours, the person will revive, slowly. First, the bodily functions will begin, and in a few minutes, consciousness followed with full awareness. In that mode, the alien scientists reprogram the human brain and plant false information. When the person awakes, he recalls the false information as information he gained through life experience. There is no way for a person to learn the truth. The human mind remembers and believes completely the false data. If you attempt to inform them, they would laugh or get angry. They never believe the truth. Their mind always forgets the experience of reprogramming. You asked if the flash gun is difficult to operate? A 2-year-old child could use it with one hand. It resembles a flashlight with black glass conical inverted lens. On the side are 3 recessed knobs and 3 curved grooves. Each knob is sized differently. The closer the knob to the hand, the less the strength. It's that simple. Each knob has 3 strengths also, with automatic stops at each position. The strongest position will vaporize anything that lives. That mode is so powerful, it will leave no trace of what it vaporized. Question: is the weapon called a flash gun, or is there a different name in the manuals? Answer: everybody calls them flash guns, or more commonly, the flash or my flash when talking about it. In the manual, it is first introduced as the Armor Lux weapon. After that, it is explained as the flash gun. Question: what type of security is found at the Dulce base? What else is used against espionage or unauthorized entry? Answer: I'll mention a few, but it would be nearly impossible to cover it all. The weapon, besides the flash gun, mostly used is a form of sonic. Built in with each light fixture is a device that could render a man unconscious in seconds with nothing more than a silent tone. At Dulce, there also are still and VCR cameras, eye-print, handprint stations, weight monitors, lasers, ELF and EM equipment, heat sensors and motion detectors, and quite a few other methods. There is no way you could get very far into the base. If you made it to the 2nd level, you would be spotted within 15 feet. More than likely, you would become an inmate and never see the light of the surface world again. If you were lucky, you would be reprogrammed and become one of the countless spies for the ruling caste. Question: according to certain reports, the Dulce base is host to other aliens that live in level 5. Is that true? Can the humans freely roam or meet one-to-one in the halls, or is some type of protocol in effect? Answer: there is protocol from the first time you enter the base, and it must be followed every time you see an alien there. From the working caste to the visiting aliens to the ruling caste, there is a never-ending checklist of rules, law, and strict protocol. There is never a chance to roam on the 5th level. The alien housing area is off-limits to any human. The hub is surrounded by security, arsenal, military, and CIA, FBI sections. The area past the security is one of the most secured areas because it houses so many classified files. The entire east side of the 5th level is off-limits except for security personnel holding Ultra 7 security clearance or higher. The garage on the west side of the 5th level requires Ultra 4 clearance. Question: what about the elevators? Do they drop from the surface to the 7th level in a couple of seconds? Do you know anything about them? Are they electrically lifted? Everywhere on the surface world, there are elevators made by Otis Elevator Company. Does that company make the elevators at Dulce? Answer: I failed to notice what brand was available in the elevators at the base. I could tell you that there is no elevator anywhere at Dulce that drops from the surface to the 7th level. The security blueprints show the levels are stepped down. Each level drops one floor only. Not even the hub has an express elevator. After the 3rd level, not only would you change elevators, you are weighed and color-coded before you re-enter the car. All the elevators are magnetically controlled. Even lights in elevators, as well as all lights on all levels, are magnetically induced. The light bulbs are not the type bought on the surface, but a totally different type of light system. The illumination found there is a closer match to natural sunlight than any artificial light on the surface world. The shape of the elevators is unique. If you have ever seen a Tupperware sugar bowl, you could see the shape copied in the elevator. Sort of like an open-ended oval with another half oval on each side. The elevator shaft matches the shape perfectly. The magnetic controls are in the half oval shape. If you could stand in or close to the half ovals, you would feel the slight pull of the power of those magnets. The motion is smooth and silent. There is a nearly unnoticed surge when the motion starts or stops. There are no cables needed because the lift is magnetic, not electric. Question. A mysterious security man calling himself Agent Yellowfruit says he worked at Groom Lake, Area 51. The security officer states that he's been in contact with benevolent aliens at the Groom Lake facility. Are you aware of such a group? Answer. Yellow fruit is one of the slang names for yellow jack or yellow flag that shows quarantine and caution in the labs. There are so many different slang names at Dulce Labs that meant quarantine that the workers published a booklet to show the meanings. At Dulce, yellow fruit are the lab workers, banana is the older workers, lemon is the new guys, and so on. Question. Is there an alien installation under Groom Lake or Papoose Lake at the Nevada test site? And are they conducting biological research at these sites? Answer. Most of the stuff at the Groom facility deals with defense, but there is a large storage area in the tunnels that holds thousands of alien craft parts. From what I have heard, the medical tests at the Nevada test site are conducted by and for the Navy. Question. According to my sources, the aerospace companies have a secret underground installation in the Tehachapi Mountains, not far from Rosamond near Edwards Air Force Base. Insiders refer to the Tehachapi installment as the Ant Hill. They are experimenting with advanced technology such as anti-gravity discs. Some have seen basketball-sized floating orbs patrol the facility. Do you have any further information on this? Answer. The California mountains all have alien security methods and equipment. The basketball-sized orbs are used for unmanned patrol. They are silent, but when photographing living beings, there is a humming sound. The glow that emits light is magnetic aura. This is in the visible spectrum, 3,900 angstroms. You can see the light, but the light does not reflect off anything. Question. How do the aliens use magnetism? Do they use it as an energy source? Is there more we need to know about magnetism? Answer. The aliens use magnetics for everything. They use magnetics as the basic structure for their energy source. The more you learn about magnetics, the better. The human race calls them magnets. The aliens call them lodestar. They have been harvesting lodestars for centuries. Not only that, they want all the magnetic power on Earth. They intend to continue harvesting that power now and in the future. As long as we were only using magnetic power as an oddity, there was no problem. But in recent times, the human race has begun using magnetic power and finding more ways to utilize that commodity. There was a treaty made. In the original treaty, the human race didn't mind at all. We considered magnets as hardly more than useless. As people searched for another source of power, we turned to magnets. The aliens wanted a new treaty. What could we offer? They chose land, underground mining rights, animals and humans for new experiments. The general public never knew about the treaty. The governmental heads of the world chose another treaty in 1933. This time, we got high-tech knowledge in exchange. So now, the more we use magnetics, the more they claim humans in the lands of the USA. We were sold in exchange for magnets. If you doubt it, look around. There are token companies that really utilize magnetic power, but are depending on electric-based or ceramic magnets, not lodestar-based magnets. Question: what do the aliens do with cow blood and other parts from mutilated animals? Do they need these fluids for research or survival? Answer: the aliens use the blood and body parts for formula to keep them alive and for use in the growing vats and for the artificial wombs. Plasma and amniotic fluid are the two most vital ingredients for their lives. Also, the sap of some plants can keep them alive for months. Most of the plants are parasitic in nature, but red grapes and okra plants can also be added to the formula to keep them alive if they have no regular formula. Question: female abductees report being inseminated by aliens. Are they trying to hybridize our species? Answer: yes, they're breeding slave warriors for the upcoming war with the alien race. The serpentine races are in orbit around Earth, Venus, and Mars. Question: abductees have reported that the aliens can pass their bodies and that of the abductee through window glass. Is this a feat of magic achieved by advanced technology, or is it a psychic power? Answer: the aliens have mastered atomic matter. They can go through walls like we can go through water. It is not magic, just physics. We can learn to do the same thing. It has to do with controlling atoms at will. Question: are you in communication with benevolent aliens, or do you have contacts that are? If you are, can you tell us how we can communicate with their teams? Answer: I'm not at liberty to discuss communications with any friendly alien life forms. I can tell you there is a friendly factor active in Costa Rica. I am in direct communication with that factor. I am an active member of the Subgalactic League of Costa Rica. This organization, using a small satellite dish, a television set, and ham radio equipment, reached this factor. I might suggest that by using similar equipment in a low-band frequency, you may reach the same factor. Question: do you stay in the USA or do you live abroad? Do you work now? I know you've been on the run for several years. Answer: yeah, quite a few years. I visit the US, but it's really dangerous when I do. I've lived in several countries. I spent a few years in Mexico, working as a mercenary soldier. It's rough work, frequently living in the bush, eating whatever I can find. I spent time in South America, fighting the drug cartel. I settled in Costa Rica, bought a small house in Limon. Actually, it is a shanty that someone abandoned. I paid the equivalency of $11 to one of the local constables for the right to call it mine. My name changes when I think someone is asking questions. I've worked in one of the underground bases near the Panama border. It's in the mountains, but very far from a passive but active volcano. It is not as fancy as Dulce, but the people are wonderful. Question: are there any other security level names? Answer: there are many other security clearances. Here are a few: Umbra, Stellar, G27Z, Triad, UMT, Universal Military Training, and UMS, Universal Military Service. Astral and Subastral. Umbra is higher than Ultra. Question: since you have lived in Spanish-speaking countries, it's obvious that you're bilingual. What other languages do you speak? Answer: other than English, the only other languages I speak are Spanish and Yushu, the common language spoken at Dulce. I speak Spanish fluently and enough Yushu to keep myself out of trouble. Shortly after I first transferred to Dulce, I took a course to learn the basics. Otherwise, you're required to wait for an escort to get around. All the signs at that base are written in the universally recognized symbolic language. Yushu is logical and easy to learn. Rash course in Yushu. Anyone that plans to spend more than 1 week working at that base, they are. Question: what are the eating habits of the aliens? Are they carnivores? Answer: that depends whether they're one of the gray worker caste, one of the reptilian worker caste, or one of the higher developed draconian leaders. Also, the created beings, replicants, type 2 being, or one of the really strange genetic mixtures. I'll try to cover a little of each. The formula includes amniotic water, plasma, and several other body parts. This nearly clear mixture with the texture of pureed peaches and almost in that color. The Greys make the attempt not to eat around the humans because the odor of it is very unpleasant to any human. They can spend days or even weeks between feedings. The working caste of the Reptilians eat meat, insects, and a large variety of plants, including vegetables and fruit. They prefer their meat raw and very fresh, but have learned to enjoy some cooked meat like rare beefsteak. Unlike the Greys, they eat frequently and usually carry or send for food on their breaks. The ruling caste is secretive about their foods. They have created several dietary myths that they carefully embellish when the chance arrives. One of their favorite legends involves one of their ancestors' ability to eat an entire flock of geese in one setting. They rarely eat in sight of any other species. They carefully choose their food, then carry their meal to their quarters. It was only when dignitaries arrive at the base did they join their meals. They enjoy the same foods we do, and they have been seen secretly munching on a freshly found snail. The human-looking replicants eat some cooked vegetables. They rely on vitamins and liquid protein for sustenance. If they have to eat on the surface world, they can eat whatever they are served, but as soon as possible, they regurgitate. Their digestive systems frequently fail to process the food properly. The engineered beings have a special diet created for their dietary needs. The mixture includes several organ foods blended with plasmatic fluids, amniotic liquids, and parasitoplasm materials. These unique animals also enjoy occasional green plants, usually grasses or lettuce. The creatures that are designed to become warriors eat protein-filled liquids. Question: in the Dulce papers, copper seems to be high on the importance list. In what methods is copper used? Answer: one of the main uses of copper at Dulce is containment of the magnetic flow. Magnets are used everywhere at that base. The infamous vats' interiors are lined with copper, and the exterior walls are clad with stainless steel. The mechanical arm that stirs the liquid is made of a copper alloy. Other uses include dietary needs in a few of the transbiotic beings. There are several specially made cells or rooms built first with lead, then magnetic steel, then clad in copper. It is in those cells on the 4th level that contain living oral essence. This essence is what you would call soul or astral body. Question: growing multi-species beings, blood formulas, and human parts in vats sound like a bad plot to a science fiction movie. The doctors and scientists of the world claim you can't mix the species. The concepts mentioned in the Dulce papers sounds far-fetched. Could you provide information that the average surface world reader could understand about similar things? Answer: the doctors and scientists on the surface world may say that, but underground, away from the prying eyes of ethics boards, they do grow transgenous beings. There is a lot of written material available at libraries. One of the best sources in an easy-to-read book published back in 1969 by Prentice Hall International with the title of The Second Genesis, The Coming Control of Life by Albert Rosenfeld. In this book, They discuss animals that may be especially bred to supply genetically reliable organs for people, and the use of fetal or embryonic material from which adult-sized organs and tissues may be grown. Also, he discusses the fact that embryonic tissue has no immunological activity, therefore it cannot provoke the defense mechanism in the recipient. It will join the body not as a foreign antigen, but as a natural protein. He further discusses solitary generation, commonly called virgin birth, but also known as parthenogenesis. With one virgin birth in 1.6 million births average on the surface of the world. In Dulce, that rate is reversed. Occasionally, a normally born human infant is born in the hospital on the 7th level. Parthenogenesis is the method used to grow type 2 beings. The now common transsexual surgery on the surface world began at the Dulce base. Men became women on a whim in the 7th level labs. And with the 4th level technology, the brainwashing, the eager desire to become a woman, and that poor man firmly believes he always wanted to be a woman. No one could convince him to believe the truth. All things are twisted at Dulce. A quote by Dr. Ralph W. Gerard in the second Genesis, put in his now classic statement, "There can be no twisted thought without a twisted molecule." Most have originated at Dulce. Question: how are the human workers stopped from telling everything about Dulce? Answer: implants, fear threats to harm the families, EM control, also reprogramming with ELF, extremely low frequency, and drugs are the most common methods to encourage the workers not to divulge the location or daily routine. Question: a construction worker at the Anthill, the Northrop's Tehachapi base, reports seeing 10 to 12-foot tall human-looking beings in lab coats. Who are these guys? Are they from the hollow Earth? Answer: they are probably inner Earth drones. The deeper you get, the stranger the life forms. The tall men are from the subterranean levels, lower yet are the dwarfed, deformed forms. I don't trust either of them. There are other forms that both the tall men and the dwarfed men fear and loathe. They are similar to Bigfoot in appearance, but extremely violent and enjoy eating whatever they find while it is still alive. They are subhuman and demented, with an IQ around 15. The reptiloid life form stays in caves or caverns that aren't very deep. They prefer the desert mountains. They use camouflage rather than fighting, but they do carry vril rods for protection. They do have a symbol, not the hokey snake with wings that I keep seeing in the public. The reptoids use a dragon with its tail in its mouth with 7 pointed stars in the middle. Question: is there a specific location where the public can set up their cameras and equipment to document an alien government base and/or their activities? Answer: the problem is, most of the meetings are held in military bases or underground. The Groom Lake facility does fly several alien craft that regularly fly over unpopulated land that go back and forth from several bases. Southern California has several notable areas. 29 Palms, Lancaster, or Chocolate Mountains are well known for such activities. Question: could you provide us with a copy of your badge or card you used at Dulce? Answer: badges or cards never leave the bases. All exits have bars or walls of metal. To open, to go out requires using the card. When you use it for an exit slot, the card won't come out. Each time you leave the base, you are issued a new card, with all the usual data about you, plus your weight added, corrected daily. There are several mines in the Chocolate Mountains that open into a base highway, but be aware that they are patrolled regularly and there are cameras there. Question: what are the dimensions of the Dulce facility? Answer: there are 1,700 paved miles of roads under Dulce and northern New Mexico. Towards Los Alamos is another 800 miles of tunnels. The base is still growing. Question: what is the top depth? Answer: the first level starts 200 feet from the surface. Each level has a ceiling of 7 feet, except levels 6 and 7. The ceiling there is 45 and 60 feet. There are approximately 45 feet or more between each level. The average highway ceiling is 25 feet. The hub at the base is 3,000 feet wide. Use a 7.5-minute scale map to try to comprehend the size of the place. Question: are there regular vehicle exits that can be observed from the ground? Answer: yes, but they're inside Los Alamos. Question: are there aerial exits that can be observed? Answer: 20 miles due north of Dulce is a large hangar. It is hidden by a facade of cliffs. Look for an isolated short road on the top of a mesa with no road to or from the top. Question: are the ventilation shafts visible? Answer: the ventilation shafts are hidden by bushes or vents inside caves. There are 5 on the top of the mesa. Be aware there are cameras inside most of the vents. Question: is there external security, and could we recognize them in or around the town itself? Answer: there is minimal security on the surface. Most of the men are Air Force or highway crewmen. There used to be a Best Western motel that hosts or hires a lot of base workers from Level 1. I don't know if that motel is still operational. Most of the security force live in Santa Fe. Others live at White Pine, Los Alamos. Question: are there security sensors? What type? If so, what is their power source? Answer: yes, there are many types of sensors: radar, infrared, heat sensors, microwave, EMGW, and satellite. Most of the sensors are powered by magnetic power. The only thing you may notice on the surface would be an occasional satellite dish. Question: if you can, give us some information on the upcoming war with the aliens. When does it start? Do you recommend going underground? Answer: the war has already begun. To start, they use weather control devices that can cripple a city in hours. Storms, flood, and drought. With those few things, they can bring any country to their knees in a hurry. Yes, I do recommend going underground. Choose a location that has a higher elevation than the surrounding terrain. Pick out a cave or even an abandoned mining shaft or two. Buy a cache of supplies near these locations. Place the supplies in heavy plastic boxes that have tight lids. Then plan to live like a squatter when it becomes necessary. If you own land, create a system of tunnels and tell no one. Use your tunnels to secrete your supplies, and plan to live in those corridors when you must. Question: what about the reptilian ships that are in orbit around the equator? Are they cloaked? Answer: they are not cloaked the way you may think. It's more like nobody is learning to see, even though it is in plain sight. Like the mailman becomes invisible because you are so used to seeing him you never noticed he's alive. One of the favorite methods of covert activities is to hide their operation in such an obvious way that no one would suspect it is covert. Question: what are the Greys susceptible to? Answer: the Greys are photosensitive. Any bright light hurts their eyes. They avoid sunlight and travel at night. Camera flashes causes them to back up. It could be used as a weapon against them, but they recover quickly. It could buy enough time to escape. Use commands or nonsensical words in the form of commands and they will back up. Their brain is more logical than ours and they do not create fun. They do not understand poetry either. What really confuses them is saying things in pig Latin. We learned that in a hurry and used it against them in the Dulce Wars. Question: can Greys read your intentions if you came up behind one? Answer: yes, they read your intent because they use your body's frequency. The human race broadcasts a frequency that they recognize as an electromagnetic impulse. Each person has a slightly different frequency. That difference is what we call personality. When a person thinks, they broadcast strong impulses. In the case of fear, the frequency is loud and easy to recognize. Question: can we shield ourselves against their mental control? Answer: we can shield ourselves against them. However, 95% of the human race never try to control their thoughts, and controlling our own thoughts is the best weapon. The average person rarely thinks in a clear pattern. That allows the brain to think in a chaotic way. Control your thoughts, and you can stop the aliens attempting to abduct and control you. Controlling my own thoughts have kept me alive for years. Question: could you shed some light on the type of human the aliens are looking for when they abduct? Answer: I can tell you that the most common are petite women in their early 20s or early 30s, dark-haired boys between 5 to 9, small to medium-sized men in their mid-20s to mid-40s. But let me stress that there are all types of people being held against their will in the Dulce base. There are tall, heavy men and women, teenagers, elderly folks, and very young girls in the cages and the vats. I only mention the most common age size are the small young men and petite women. The boys are favored because at that age, their bodies are rapidly growing, and their atomic material is adaptable in the transfer chamber. The young small women are frequently very fertile. The men are used for sperm. I have no idea why they prefer small to average-sized men. Question: what is the prevalent human race at the Dulce base? I'm curious about both the human workers and the inmates. Answer: the human workforce is made of people from every nation on the surface world. The one thing they share is that they all speak English. If you're asking if there are white, black, red, yellow, and brown skin color, again, I'll have to say that there is no prevalent race there. As for inmates, I could see all races there. From what I could see, it looked like there were more white people, but again, I saw a constant flow of different people. Many, I think, were only there for a few hours. Question: please explain the method they use to identify each inmate. Answer: no one has a name. When first brought to this facility, they were issued one large number. Usually that code has a mixture of numbers and letters. They showed the place, how, and by who, followed by the time, age, sex, and finally the personal number. For example, it might look like this: NVLV-00A-00-00-P00:00-00-00-00. Question: you have been through so much and yet keep fighting. What is your biggest fear? Answer: that the general public will forget the trapped innocent people in the despicable place and will ignore the hundreds of children, women, and men.